Yes, now, bless now. Don't forget the rest now. Dezrocksteady at King of the Pit TV signing in. Alright. Testament. I don't know much about Testament. Finding this album, I found that their debut, which is this record, The Legacy, came out in '87. So Testament are a little later on down the line than I assumed they would be. I thought they were like a real first wave thrash band, but a little later on, a little deeper into the history of thrash metal, which is quite surprising and to me is actually quite exciting because I feel music is better, genres are better when there's a little bit of a polish added into the mix, when there's a bit more understanding and a bit more room for maneuver as opposed to it just being strict and stubborn and stuck as a basic foundational sort of stage. I think a second wave of most things tends to be better than the first. We've got the second wave of black metal, we've got the death metal of the 90s, we've got, hardcore punk or hardcore as we get into the 80s, the mid 80s and so forth. And what else have we got? We've got two-tone ska as opposed to first wave Trojan. Now that is debatable because it's two separate elements, but I like the polish. I like the added flair that gets added with the production value and the understanding of the music from the sound engineers and so forth. So that being said, I've got my fingers crossed and I have very high hopes that Testament are going to bring forward something very good on this record. I know it's early days, it's their first, but here we are. So we're starting off big with a music video. So, man, they hit the ground running with this LP. I wonder who put it out. We're going to find these things out as we get into the record. This one's Over the Wall. Shout out to all the thrashers out there. Let's go. VH1 Classic. Bay Area. Heavy. Looks a bit like Lars. Right, these dudes are moshing out in a prison cell. That's a first. I've never seen that before. That's one of a kind. One thing I gotta give Testament at this point is that they do seem a little bit all over the place, a little confused as far as structuring goes. And that's not to say that they need to be writing pop songs, but You know, it can be a bit jarring at times, the switches of the sections. That's what I think. Wow. That's a bit of Maiden, that, don't you think? I cannot stand people like this. Michael Kurtz said, "Man, Testament have got to be the most overlooked / underrated / ignored band ever. We have no one to blame but ourselves. I mean, us, the consumers." Michael, shut the hell up. I cannot stand people who want to speak on behalf of other people. Bruh, I'm here listening to Testament right now for the very first time, putting it out there in the open to talk about Testament to people, and this guy's going on about we got no one to blame but ourselves. Michael, go shove it, you idiot. Somebody's got to respond to that saying, speak for yourself. People talk about Forbidden. Should I check out some Forbidden people? Because I agree, Forbidden. If Forbidden are a great band, then they must be overlooked, because I don't know much about Forbidden whatsoever. They are not the most underrated. They are bigger than any black and death metal band, and are the 5th biggest thrash band. That's a fair response. Antoine says they were a little late at the scene. There were much bands before that. They are a mammoth premier thrash band, so it might have just been a sign of the times. They might have come around as, playing that style of music might have been a little later on down the line now. They're not really that underrated. They are just the pioneers of the second wave of thrash and get a buttload of credit for it. Testament forever. There we go, the second wave of thrash. Sweet. It was good. It was good. I mean, I don't have too much to say at this point. We're going to continue on. It's not bad music, is it? But it's thrash metal. It's thrash metal. I want to hear some heavy hitting riffs. I just want mosh riffs. I don't want push pit riffs. I want mosh riffs. I want ignorant riffs. I want to hear an ignorant riff. We got The Haunting coming up next. There's Rocksteady, King of the Pit TV. We're listening to Testament, The Legacy, 2 out of 9 tracks. That's where we're at. The Haunting. Let's just jump straight in, shall we? Shout out to the Thrashers. Come on now. What have we got to say? Who put this record out? Megaforce Records. Come on. Nice development. What a fantastic development on that riff. Here we go. Where are the moshes at? That was the wrong beat to throw onto that. That was the wrong beat. That was the wrong beat. We shouldn't have had that. Bro, my guy said easily one of the greatest riffs ever recorded. This was one of the first albums I got into whilst my peers were busy indulging in metalcore tripe. Yeah, Incognito 3862. I gotta put some respect on metalcore, man. I gotta put some respect on metalcore. You know what? You know, it's funny. You tell me, metalheads, right? Because metalheads, when they start to learn properly about metal, when they go from like the, you know, blissfully ignorant metalhead into an actually knowledgeable metalhead, they start to learn that hardcore isn't what the mainstream advertises it as and start to appreciate hardcore. I think metalcore is more of a niche that a lot of metalheads don't tend to understand. Because metalcore isn't necessarily Black Veiled Brides and, you know, Parkway Drive, and even though Parkway Drive are alright, I think, and bands like that. Like metalcore in the 90s, is some of that stuff is as real as it gets as far as metal music is concerned. And I think the core puts a lot of people off, but man, if you like Slayer worshipping music, 90s metalcore, there is nothing better. If you like Slayer, I think the 90s hardcore bands, the vegan and straight edge bands, did a better homage to that than the actual metal bands were doing. No doubt. Come on. Hypnotic. We're gonna kill it off. No doubt some very good guitar work. Best part of that tune
I
was
always say, like, you...
it wasn't my sort of riff because I couldn't go for a mooch to it. But that intro riff and the development of it showed some great capability, some great technicality to it, especially the harmonic sense of things. We got Burnt Offerings coming up next. All right, let's keep going. Yes, now bless now. Don't forget the rest now. There's Rocksteady, King of the Pit TV. I just had a lovely sandwich. Okay. Little bit of brown sauce on there. Sexy baby. Burnt Offerings, that's track 3, and now we're listening to The Legacy by Testament. Not Testicles, Testament, alright? In case you misheard me. Let's go. Emotional intro. Emotional. Come on. Great use of harmonies in this band. Metallica. You can't tell me this isn't pure Four Horsemen. Brilliant, really good. Didn't have the golden riff in there for me. Little bit of a nod to Metallica with the high shriek over that Metallica-esque riffing. Cool little use of the intro. It got me emotional. Got me in my feelings, alright. I was feeling it. We got Raging Waters coming up next, which is track 4 and 9. Right amount of material on this record. Doesn't overdo it, does it? Let's keep going. There's Rocksteady, King of the Pit TV. We're listening to The Legacy by Testament. This is Raging Waters. Let's go. Lyle Simmons says, this kicks ass. They don't make music like this no more. Is that true? Testament always had another band to rip off. They were always inspired. What does that mean? Other albums sound like second tier boring Metallica clones, with this being the only first tier one. Practice and Souls are two of the most boring and generic rip-off albums ever. What's going on in the comment section here? So don't listen to the other albums if you don't like them, but to me and a whole slew of others they are great. I'm not going to argue anymore over personal taste. To each their own. Yeah, respectful. Fair. The triangle. The devil's triangle. See what's become of the life left to live. The hope of us alive to trust. The switch screams staggering into death from above. The great rock closes in. Of the dawn, shattered in rain, the hope for our peace of mind. Satan's masters come closer and closer. He holds the seas baked in his arms. Violence, terror, raging waters, dying to steal nowhere to go now. Come on. No one to save us. Every remember now. That's that Metallica again. The rhythm of Hades is shining too hot. Satan's power becomes strong. Zombies have killed so many before. A sacrifice must be done. The door of the chosen has opened for us. What century will we see? See them panic, crying at us, screaming, "How can I?" Alright, let me tell you, right? This is 87, so this is a little later down the line. This is metal. This is most definitely metal. This is not crossover. There's not much punk-infused stuff going on here. I know thrash metal does have, you know, its roots in punk if you were to be quite literal about things. But Testament are very metal. I was listening to what band was it? Violence the other day, and you could tell that one was for the punk rockers just as much as the thrashers, indirectly. This one, bruh, yeah, it's metal for metalheads, innit? All these harmonies and just the choice of the drum. I think it's the drum beats in particular, and of course, well, it's everything. It's the riffs as well, let's be fair. This sounds dumb, right? But I'm thinking to myself, and this should have been done. It should have been done, because if not, I'm about to patent this. I said this here first. This is my intellectual copyright. If this hasn't been done, but these bands, I was thinking, I haven't heard a bass break. I haven't heard any distinguishable bass section at this moment in time. So when it comes to bands that just have the bassist play the root notes of the riffs, why doesn't someone just create a guitar that has both the bass string aligned with the guitar string of the higher octave? And then you can just sort of do that with one person, as opposed to having two people in the same band just sort of essentially doing the same thing. All they do is add a frequency, add a bit more depth to the sound of what we're already hearing. So if that bassist isn't doing anything different, why can't we just create an instrument that just covers that? Like I said, it's Monday the 8th of January 2024, yeah? That's when I recorded this. You'll find that in the EXIF data, yeah? Or whatever you call it. I said it here first, yeah? If that's not been done, it's my intellectual copyright, alright? You gotta buy it off me. Shred. Incredible. Powerful. Great, absolutely powerful at times, and there really gives you a kick up the arse. Some of these big bold power chords at times, emphasized by the accent of the drum. We got a short one coming up. It might be an intersection. Curse of the Legions of Death, 2 minutes 30. All right, track number 5 coming up. Let's keep going. Yes, now bless now. Don't forget the rest now. Ratted, bomber clatted. There's Rocksteady at King of the Pit TV. The Legacy is what we're listening to by Testament. This one is entitled Curse of the Legions of Death, alright? Given that it's at 2 minutes 29, at this particular part of the record, I don't know whether this might be a interlude of sorts. Shall we find out? Nope. Thrash. Come on.
Attacking with force, there is show no remorse. Obstructing our victims' fate. Something in the toss, saluting the fight. Our virgins must die this night. Satanic reaction of a service kiss is taking the life from the soul. And in the train it is struck from hell and found our way through. legions of death. Curse of the legions of death.
Come on. Yeah, this is the best track on the record. This is the best track on the record. Curse of the Legions of Death. Come on.
Curse of the legions of death. Curse of the legions of death. Curse of the legions of death.
That was brilliant. Curse of the Legions of Death. That was the best track on the record because that was just fast for fast's sake. That's why it was so short, because they couldn't play that for long. They couldn't keep up with that for long. That was really good. That was really good. That was the best track on the record. First Track is Deadly coming up next. I mean, there is time to change my mind. We're just going to have to find out if they can do it or not. There's Rocksteady King of the Pit TV. We're listening to The Legacy by Testament. This is track 6 of 9. Let's go. First track is Deadly. We just come out of Thrash Metal 101 with that last track. Come on. Feels like we're building up into a single riff. I hope so. I think Testament, if they're gonna avoid all of the mid-paced sort of two-bomb riffing, the two-stepperoonies, they're best playing in high intensity, just high tempo, tremolo pick to hell and back. I think that's this band's sound. I think it's way better. I think they work a lot better in this sound and this tempo. It's a little bit of neoclassical-esque stuff going on here. Come on. Banana, 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 terracotta. That was The First Strike is Deadly. Couldn't complain with that one, could you? Decent tune. Decent tune. Didn't sell it to me as much as some of the other songs, to be honest with you. We'll move on with that one. Do or Die coming up next, track number 7, alright? It's an easy listen, this record. It's an easy listen. Let's keep going. Yes, now bless, now don't forget to rest. Now there's Rocksteady, King of the Pit TV, listening to Testament. This is Do or Die, which is track 7 and 9 off of the Legacy. Do or Die was also the name of a track. Who was it? Furia 5 did Do or Die as well, I think. Let's jump in, come on.
Living my life on borrowed time, watching my dreams disappear. Officially claimed to mine, my takes control, my body trembles in fear. Life is looking up for me when I left home, it seems like yesterday. Now I'll never go back there again, here is where I'll stay. Nobody can hear you scream or shout. Once you're in, you won't come out. You will never see the light of day. I'm the hunter, you're my prey.
Matt Weismiller says some of the vocal tracks on this album just scream King Diamond. Do you agree with that, people? I don't know about that, right?
Watching the clash between the forces below, from up in the flames of fire. Fathers are taken as prisoners of war.
That high end might be the Crimson they're speaking of, that high end. But still, there's a bit more gusto to it than what you hear in King Crimson. I'm talking about King Crimson, but King Diamond, that's what I'm on about, not King Crimson.
We step on our parachutes, we line up to jump out the door. We're already there, there's no turning back. I fall to the scene of the war. Nobody can hear you scream or shout. Once you're in, you won't come out. You will never see the light of day. I'm the hunter, you're my prey.
Kirk Hammett. That rhythm guitar. I've only just clocked onto it. I don't know if it's a bit of a, what would you call it? An illusion. But on the Legacy, on the album cover, initially I thought it was all just one scale font, but now I look at it, it looks like it's at an angle at the title. Don't you think? Is my mind playing tricks on me?
The blood red searches of the dead below. Do or die. Have the place to go.
Ba-da-ba.
Living my life on borrowed time. Watch my dreams disappear. Officially claims his mind. My things control. My body trembles in fear. Life is looking up for me when I left home. It seems like yesterday. Now I'll never go back there again. Here is where I'll stay. Nobody can hear you scream or shout. Once you're in, you won't come out. You will never see the light of day. I'm the hunter, you're my prey.
The vocalist, with that line, "I'm the hunter, you're my prey," it sounds like he's the sort of dude who's gonna walk around with the mic stand. Do you know what I mean? Does this guy walk around with the mic stand? He's got to walk around with the mic stand. With the microphone still attached to it, of course. You Doyle him, come on. That was Do or Die. I mean, it held a good standard. It didn't necessarily tickle me in any particular space or zone. I'm happy to move on to Alone in the Dark, which is track number 8. Let's keep things rolling, people. Testament is who we're listening to. Keep going. Yo, what's good? Alone in the Dark. That's the title of this track. We're listening to Testament. Maybe I should start like that, eh? Alone in the Dark, Testament. We're listening to The Legacy. This is track 8 of 9. Not Fear of the Dark, unfortunately. I have a constant fear that someone's always near. Let's go. Yo, anyone seen that monkey flip meme? Sounds like that. This has been the best riff on the record. It's not about technicality, people.
They should see the courage, talking sound and feel a
Rhythm guitars are really grooving on this one. I want it to hit back into that dun, 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 dun. I know it's coming back up. I hope it all cuts out and it's just a guitar riff. Here we go, here we go. It was the only way to do it. It was the only way. That was the best track on the record. Yeah, that was the best track on the record. That was better than Curse of the Legions of Death. Let's finish this off with Apocalyptic City. That just had the riff. That's all it needed. The riff. And it had the riff. That's all I'm saying. I could give or take the whole Alone in the Dark. But here we are. Apocalyptic City coming up. There's Rocksteady, King of the Pit TV, finishing The Legacy by Testament. This is track 9 of 9, entitled Apocalyptic City. Let's tickle this one off. Come on now. Couple of twinkles to start the little session. Little edging sesh. Come on. So, I need you to tell me something, people. Let me run through the credits and I'll ask you questions. So, producer, Alex Perry Ellis, fair shout. Guitar, Alex Skolnick. Vocals, Chuck Billy. Eric Peterson on guitar. Greg Christian on bass guitar. Jonathan Marsha Zazula. Louis Clement on drums. Alex Skolnick is credited as a composer. Composer and lyricist, Alexander Nathan Skolnick. Composer, Eric Peterson. Composer and lyricist, Eric Stanley Peterson. Composer, Greg Christian. But here we've got a lyricist, Sousa. Who is Sousa? What's that? Hard. There's some aggro to that gang chant. I like that. I feel that. I feel that.
Fire, burn inside of me. The power set my
so long. Here we are. Ba-da. This is a guitarist's band. This is definitely a guitarist's band, dude. But it's not just any sort of guitarist's band. A very overtly technical, man. This is a shredder's band, a lead guitarist band. I could never sweep. Come on. Yeah, these dudes had to be tight in the studio to play that through well, let alone on stage, because the amount of distortion that we're running on them guitars to, you know, perform them pinch harmonics to that extent, because them squealies are hard to get. Yo, if you play guitar right, and you've got a gift for playing pinch harmonics, I envy you, man, because I never truly got the grasp. I played overt, distorted, ridiculous music for years on end, man, and I wrote for bands playing crossover thrash metal. I never were able to hit them squealies well. I never put them into tunes because I knew I wasn't going to execute them well live. So these dudes are definitely playing with the potential of going wrong here and there and having it sound incredibly bold because of how powerful them guitars are, you know what I mean? Reeled to 10 on the distortion scale. Very good. That was a good tune. Yeah, that was a good tune. Apocalyptic City, great lyrical content. And the best part of that song was the emphasis on them gang chants, them burns were, you know, sometimes you'll get a gang chant, it's alright, because I enjoy gang chants personally, but, you know, you want to hear like a mob sort of giving it the big one, and we really got that there. That was really good. So I'm going to do one last video where I give an overview of my final thoughts, and I'll rate this record out of 10. I'll see you there, people, alright? Peace. Yes, now bless. Now let me reposition the tingling. I just listened to Testament, The Legacy, the debut album, alright? These are my final thoughts, yes. These are my final thoughts, my people. So, we listened to it track by track. I did a track by track review on this channel. If you would like to view that, okay. I've got an itchy eye, alright. Oh, jeez, I got smoke in my eye, people. Don't get too emotional. It was an alright record. It was an alright record. It was well produced. It was nice to hear a more modernised thrash metal. And when I say modern, it's still an 80s record, but it makes a change from the graininess of the production value that was on these earlier 80s records. And I'm not speaking the big four, I'm speaking the bands that sort of started to develop album through album and created something of a momentum as they continued putting out music. Not these like one of a kind blow up first record signed by a major label bands. Testament came out in what? Well, I don't know when Testament came out, but this record came out in 87. This is their debut LP, and to hear something come out in 87, past Master of Puppets, past Rain in Blood, past all the heavy hitters. I'm not going to list them because who cares? You know them better than me. Seriously, if you're watching this review, you know these albums better than me. It was nice to hear something a little later in the time frame. Second wave thrash metal, alright? Now, I've seen comments of people saying this was like the 5th biggest band in thrash. Would you say it was the 5th in comparison to the Big Four? Is that what they're trying to say? It's the 5th member? Testament? This record was good, but it was not special. Okay? So I'm going to jump in with a critique because as far as selling points are concerned, it was very generalised thrash metal. We call it second wave, so I was expecting a change of the norm. There wasn't necessarily much change. If anything, it was lesser unique than some of the thrash bands of an earlier era we've listened to on this channel. Thing is, they were good. They were very talented. They're probably still going. They are incredibly talented. The guitar solos are incredible. If you're a guitarist and you enjoy lead guitar, you're going to have a hell of a time listening to this. Rhythm guitars, I think the rhythm sort of hit or miss. For somebody like me who likes a bit of a groove as opposed to just, metal guitar riffs, I like a bit more of a groove to it. So rhythmically speaking, there's points to be gained. The production value was very good, and I think that's what gave this an edge over, its predecessors. A little more value on the sound engineering and a little more education and information on thrash metal in 87. You know what I mean? With all of the bands that had come and gone before then, I think it really did the band some favour to put their LP out at this time. So it sounds very polished, sounds very well made. It's very tight, there's no odd ornamentation or accidental happenings in the recording. It's all very perfect. Vocals were good. Lyrically speaking, sounded pretty good from what I heard. I didn't really pay too much attention. I feel this band did fast the best, but didn't do it enough, Tremolo picking. Bit more of that. I felt this band was better in that because the mid-tempo riffs weren't hitting the way I wanted them to hit. I couldn't mosh. A bit too much technicality, a bit too much stopping and starting, a bit too much stuttering. I know that we've got a long way to go into Testament's discography and there's going to be some incredible material. So it's not that I'm being judgmental here. I do know the greatness of the band just by indirect, acknowledgement. of this brand, so to speak. I know that they're a good band, and this debut definitely showcases it, but it's nothing new. It's definitely nothing new, and I'm not saying that as in I'm in 2024 talking about it being nothing new. I mean as far as being in the later 80s. To me, this was nothing new. Second Wave should have added a little more pizzazz. It just quite simply added a little more production value. That's what I found. I'm not too fussed on extra guitar solos. I want to hear a good rhythm guitar. And I think that's sort of where I lost it. And the drummer's choice of rhythms and beats, it didn't suit my personal taste. I spoke of when I was listening to this record. It's a metal band. It's a metal band, as opposed to some of the more crossover-esque acts that were creeping out during this period. Some fantastic bands. I mean, we listened to Violence, and I was very happy with the riffing going on. This band strayed from that stuff, just stuck with the metal, and I got a rating for that, but it didn't tickle my pickle, that's for sure. I'm going to rate this record a 4 out of 10. There's room for improvement, you know. I'm thinking, judging by this and how well they put this record together and how good the production was, I'd be surprised if Testament surpass a ceiling of 6 out of 10 throughout their discography, in my personal opinion, from hearing this, because I don't really know how they can develop further without getting a new writer involved who starts writing riffs in the realms of, you know, crossover. That's my personal opinion. That's who I am and what I like, and I didn't necessarily get too much of it from this record. Aside from that, 9 tracks, an adequate album length. That was pleasing. It didn't outstay its welcome whatsoever, and it was a substantial amount of material. It wasn't incredibly short. I'm signing out on that one. Peace, people.